Hey, Mike, we talked about the Super Bowl, the game. Let's talk about the game within the game, which is the commercials. It seems like my one brother, when he shows up, doesn't watch football. He watches the commercials. He's talking when the game's on, and then $3.5 million this year for the commercials was spent. It tells you how much the Super Bowl is grown, because I still remember they were in the millions. What do you think about the commercials this year?
Well, I think the whole dynamic about the commercials has changed. I'm not sure why. I think it's a combination of reasons. The advertising industry used to look at the Super Bowl as this chance to show off for itself and for America and put on these little shows that were almost more about a show than they were about actually selling the product. And I think that's going away for a number of reasons. I think for one reason, I suspect the advertising industry has figured out that it doesn't really help our business necessarily. Number two, I think the proliferation of social media, which has factored into so many aspects of modern American life, I think you're now, a lot of people have seen these commercials on YouTube before the game even. Right. I think 4 of the first 5 commercials in the Super Bowl I had seen before, which I thought was very strange. The whole dynamic of that has changed. I don't hear as much talk about it as I used to. It's just something that I think has come and passed a little bit.
I still hear the talk afterwards because we're so used to it. We're so used to being entertained. Years ago, in the late 70s, most of the 80s into the 90s, the football games weren't that entertaining of the Super Bowl. They weren't close. They were lopsided. So you almost went to the commercials because that was better entertainment than the game itself sometimes.
It's funny how the Super Bowl has changed in football and outside of football. There was a stretch of time, and you're talking about it, Starkey, when the Super Bowl seemed like a coronation for one team. And you almost couldn't imagine the Super Bowl being a competitive game. Now you almost can't imagine it not being a competitive game. And the other stuff has greatly changed just because of the modern realities.
I think people are still accustomed to good commercials. They're not getting it. I didn't see as many of the commercials. I wasn't looking for them, but I've heard people say, well, these commercials are out there. Well, they're only out there because the companies released them out there. Some of the ones I saw stuff for, Matthew Broderick, Jay Leno and Seinfeld, my cousin talking about the Fiat commercial. I had to wait the whole first half. They didn't put those commercials on to the second half.
That's another thing that's absolutely changed. It used to be those the biggest primetime commercials went early in the game when everybody's still sitting there before boredom sets in and people break off into partying groups and stuff. That has absolutely changed.
So why? Are they cheaper then as the game goes on? Probably so. I can get that commercial a little bit less money than at the beginning of the game, or these games have been so close lately, and we're going to follow Madonna in the halftime show now. We'll still have a very live, entertaining audience.
Maybe that's part of it.
Or Fiat and Jay Leno, and I wanted to see the Matthew Broderick commercial, so I was waiting for that one, and it kept me watching commercials longer. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I think we could say this whole dynamic is changing. It's interesting. We're not sure why, but it is changing.